Welcome, one and all, to the first ever episode in a series that I am going to call something like, I don't know. The name doesn't even matter. Um, Personally, I just want to give a little background about this. I just want to. I feel like I'm missing out. I miss recording videos for YouTube, and I miss recording things when I had the time, but I'm still jumping back and forth between, what I like to do when I record and what I don't like to do, make something for myself. So I just thought, trying new things is good. And I don't want to come across or, try my, oh, I'm addressing a bunch of people. I just want to address like I'm, talking to people that would like to play Magic, you know? I keep saying a lot, but as with all public speaking, um, I know that I'm going to be nervous here and there, but that's okay. I mean, you'll understand, right? So anyway, back to what this is all about. This is going to be a series where, like MTG Goldfish, if you've ever seen any of the videos from MTG Goldfish, basically what he does, um, the guy that I like to watch, his name is Seth, or Saffron Olive is his gamer tag, if you want to call it that. But basically, he has a bunch of these little itty bitty series that he does where he polls his audience about things that would be fun to play around or build around in different formats, and then he makes a deck and records himself playing on Magic Online. Well, I don't have Magic Online, but there is a website that I've been using a lot recently called untap.in. And this is a website that'll allow you to use any card in Magic's existence and make a deck around it, and you can play with people. It's a lot of like there's no holding your hand. Magic Online does a lot of holding your hand type stuff, whereas untap.in is their servers or their program is a lot like playing Magic on paper. Now, I can get into a lot more of this later. Right now, this video is just an introduction to what these deck techs will be like, and basically an explanation of to what the deck is doing, and what is going on um, after my audience has been polled and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, time to get to the first deck in this entire series, which I am calling Feed Me. Now, I believe my cursor is still up on the screen. So for this first week, I knew that this first episode, I wasn't really sure like whether to take a poll first or to take a poll second or last or whatever. But I just decided to ask my dad what card that he'd like to see me build around for the first week, and yada yada yada. If you're friends with me on Facebook or you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen that I've said I'm gonna start doing polls. And my plan is to, after I record these episodes, to put a poll up, and each day, or I'm not sure whether I'm gonna upload all these at the same time or upload them every day or so. But basically, what's gonna happen with this deck is he said that I should build around this card called Doomgape, which, as you can see here, is a 4 generic and 3 black-green hybrid mana, so it can be played with either black or green mana for 7, so it's a total mana cost of 7. It's an elemental, it's a 10/10 with trample, and has, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Now, he thought that it would be a fun idea if I could build around Doomgape in a way where you basically play it on turn 7 and begin to smash face with it every turn. The problem with it is you do have to sacrifice a creature. So if Doomgape is your only creature, then you have to sacrifice itself. I mean, you'll still gain 10 life, but when you're playing Modern, which is what this deck's format is, you'll see that playing 7 mana to basically gain 10 life is not that good of a play. So that is why, with our creature package here, All of these creatures have Undying or Persist. I have uh, 7 Undying creatures and 8 Persist creatures, and each of them do a little something different. Although I'm going to go through these cards one at a time, I'll keep looping back to explain more about Doomgape and how it ties in. So, starting with Llanowar Elves, it's a 1/1 for 1 green mana. Tap, add green to your mana pool. It's an Elf Druid. Basically, any amount of mana ramp in this deck. This is my only kind of mana ramp in the deck, but it still works. It pays for a cost of Doomgape, and it helps us get it out earlier, because why not? Doomgape on turn 6 is pretty cool. So that's why he's here. Next, we have Strangleroot Geist, which is a haste 2/1 with Undying for 2 green mana. Undying is kind of like Persist. Persist and it was made first. Undying says when this creature dies, if it had no +1/+1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So, if Strangleroot Geist would die, the game rules would its Undying ability triggers on the stack, and if it didn't have any +1 counters when it was on the battlefield when it died, it comes back as a 3/2, and basically you can use it twice. As with every one of these creatures, each one of them can be used twice. So it's almost as if we have, I think there's what, 12, 15, there's 15 creatures with Undying or Persist, but it's almost as if we have 30, because our opponent will have to deal with each of them twice. Strangleroot Geist is good. It helps our if we get a good draw, we can start aggressive with it. Plus, it's an Undying creature. I just liked it, so I put it in the deck. Pyreheart Wolf is a 1/1 with Undying for 2 generic and a red. When it attacks, each creature you control can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. This ability has been updated by the Magic Rules Committee. It now says when it attacks, each creature you control has Menace, or gains Menace until the end of the turn. Basically, just Menace is what they shortened this ability down to. So, Pyreheart Wolf, when he attacks, each creature I control cannot be blocked by, except by 2 or more. So, with our Doomgape, if we attack with that and Doomgape, Doomgape will be a 10/10 trampler that cannot be chumped blocked very easily, and if you're not familiar with that term, it means that you can't just be blocked by one creature and take a little bit of damage. No, you have to block it with 2 or more, and in Doomgate's case, can easily just devour whatever is in its way. Murderous Redcap is a 2/2 for 2 generic and 2 red-black hybrid mana. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So it's kind of like a 2 mana burn spell for 4, and then if it dies, it's a 1 mana. It's an extra burn spell or a 1 point of damage. It has Persist, which is like Undying, except it's a -1/-1 counter when it dies. So either one of these has the ability. This one will just get smaller, but this one gets bigger when it dies. Both of them are a pretty good ability. Puppeteer Click is a 3 generic mana and 2 black mana, a flying 3/2 fairy wizard from... I think it's originally from Shadowmoor, although the one that I put in this deck is from Modern Masters. 2, when it enters the battlefield, put target creature card from an opponent's graveyard on the battlefield under your control. It gains haste. At the beginning of your end step, exile it. So... And it has Persist, so its ability will trigger once when I cast it, and it enters the battlefield the first time, and if they kill it, I get another one. Puppeteer Click was one that I included because it eliminates graveyard strategies from things in Modern that work with graveyard strategies, mostly Jund and along those lines, or no, Dredge. Dredge is what I was thinking of, because Dredge likes to play a lot of hasty creatures or grave crawlers and bloodghasts. So Puppeteer Click is a good way to exile them and get a free attack with them out of the way. Also, this is kind of a cool combo. It says at the beginning of your next end step. So if it's my end step, and say Puppeteer Click dies on their turn, they attack me and I block with it, Puppeteer Click will come back with Persist. I can exile, or basically get a creature from their graveyard, and have it until my next end step. which, if I have a Doomgape on the field, Doomgape, I can sacrifice the creature that I bring back with Puppeteer Click. So it's basically, even though it doesn't get exiled, I can still gain life off of blocking with Puppeteer Click, and I still get to keep my Puppeteer Click and any other creatures that I might have with Doomgape. Now that's our creatures. As you can see, there's a lot of synergy with Doomgape and the Undying and Persist creatures. I did a little bit of play testing, and it works very well. So I hope that during these games it works as well as I've been playtesting with. Now, for our non-creature spells, there are, how many is this? 11, 14? 14 of them? I don't know. No, 13. 13 of them. 3 Undying Evils, which is a 1 mana black instant which gives target creature Undying until the end of the turn. Now, it doesn't work with our Strangleroot Geist or Pyreheart Wolf because they already have Undying. However, if somebody were to try and kill Doomgape, bless their heart if they try to, and I have an Undying Evil in my hand, Doomgape gains Undying before their spell kills it, and then it comes back as an 11/11 trampler. So they will have maximum regret on trying to kill our guy with something if I have an Undying Evil in my hand, which is pretty funny. Also, a special interaction with Undying Evil and Murderous Redcap or Puppeteer Click because they have Persist. If I give Undying to Puppeteer Click or Murderous Redcap, I can choose if it would die. So if Puppeteer Click would die and I give it Undying Evil, or give it Undying before it dies, since Persist and Undying Evil both go on the stack at the same time, I can rearrange which ability goes on the stack first. Or, to put in simpler terms, Puppeteer Click gains Undying, it dies, Persist and Undying go on the stack. I choose the Undying to happen first, so Puppeteer Click comes back as a 4/3, I get its ability, and if it would die again, Persist would still go on the stack. So it died, had no -1 counters on it because it had a +1 counter from Undying Evil. It would come back yet again. So it's kind of an interesting combination with Murderous Redcap, with Persistent Undying Evil, because of the flexibility I have with it. Another good example would be it works in reverse too. So if Murderous Redcap died and came back with Persist and it's a 1/1, if I give it Undying Evil and it died again, Undying Evil would trigger and cause it to come back as a 3/3, which then if it would die again, Persist would go on the stack because it didn't have a -1 counter on it and it would come back. And you'll see it in when I start playing some modern games, if I ever get to do that, because I really think it would be really funny to just keep doing it on Puppeteer Click or Murderous Redcap and just make it so our opponent can never kill these creatures. Lightning Greaves, I have it as a 3 of in the deck because it's so good with Doomgape. Equipped creature has haste and can't be the target of spells or abilities for 2 mana. It comes on the battlefield. And then you can keep equipping it for 0. So, if I play Doomgape on turn 7 and I have Lightning Greaves, I can equip Lightning Greaves to Doomgape to give it haste and shroud. So, our opponent can't target it to try and kill it, and it has haste. I don't see a downside to that. The only downside would be if they tried to Wrath. As a sorcery, I can't equip this to any other creature, so Undying Evil won't really work. However, that being said, if I have multiple creatures on the field, I can Lightning Greaves Doomgape, attack with it and other creatures, and then in my second main phase, equip Lightning Greaves to something else. So it can kind of bait them to try and kill Doomgape to Undying Evil it, which is really funny. So Lightning Greaves I thought was kind of a must include when I thought of how to keep Doomgape around longer. Domri Raid is a 1 generic, 1 red, 1 green, 3 mana planeswalker. Comes in with 3 loyalty counters and has these 3 abilities. +1. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. -2. Target creature you control fights another target creature. -7. You get an emblem with creatures you control have double strike, trample, and haste. Give me 1 second. Okay, I just realized how long this recording has been. This has been a ridiculous recording length, but I really wanted to explain all the uh, premises, I mean, all the stuff that I'd be doing with this series in this video so that I could not waste any time recording on the other site. So if you would bear with me a little bit, I'll just continue to say this. The -7 is probably not going to happen. Domri Raid is in here to draw more creatures, and its -2 ability is really powerful with Doomgape and Undying creatures because it's basically a when you fight, if Doomgape deals 10 damage to something, whatever it is dealing damage with, it probably won't be dying to. So it's kind of a Dominate Raid removal spell and a creature filtering card, which is good. Damnation is a 4 mana sorcery, 2 generic, 2 black, destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. This is in here as a one of because it'll catch the opponents by surprise, and it works really well with my persist and undying creatures. Imagine, if you will, I have 3 creatures, my opponent has 3 creatures, but when I Damnation, only I am left with 3 creatures that are all stronger than they were before, which is a really good combination, if I may say so myself. So that's why this is in here. A short aside, all the decks that I'll be making, I'm restricting to my 12 rare or mythic slots because I kind of want to make these decks able to be built by other people. So if you watch my video and you say, "Wow, this is actually a pretty cool deck," um, not like I'm gonna toot my own horn or anything, but if you really like my deck and want, say, like you want a deck list or something, just leave a comment. I'll post a link to a deck list or somewhere if you want it. But I also want to make these decks available to like actually be made. So Doomgape I know is not that expensive. It's definitely if I could just look this up real quick. Bear with me one moment as I check the price on Doomgape. I don't really think it's that expensive. It shouldn't be. No, it's like 30 cents. So Doomgape is not that expensive, and neither is Puppeteer Click. You could probably get that for 80 cents each. And Domri Raid is maybe $3, $4 a person. Oh god, okay. Domri Raid is $7 a card. So it's still $21 for these 3 cards alone, but everything else is not that expensive. Maybe under $1 each for every single card. The only really expensive card in this deck that are non-lands are Damnations, or are the Damnations because they're $60 because it's really, really powerful. But this deck can obviously be replicated with any other board clear or wrath spell that you have lying around. So it's really not that big of a deal. Damnation's just in here because of Modern's power level. I wanted to actually have something to compete. Just so it's not videos of me getting my ass handed to me. And as I need a little bit more removal, so that's why I have 3 Putrefies. They're 1 generic, 1 black, 1 green, instant, destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. The regenerated is just gravy, but it's nice to have some main deck creature and artifact destruction. So that's why those are in there. But so from Doomgape to Putrefy, those are the non-land cards in this deck. I do have a sideboard, but I couldn't get it to display on this site. So I will jump over to the other site in just a little bit to explain what our sideboard is. It's really not that big of a deal. Now comes the part where I kind of eat my words about the whole rare mythic slot thing, and it's because of my land base. As you can see, I have 6 fetch lands, and then 3 of the shock lands, and 2 copies of each one of the cards. So I have 12 non-basic lands, and they're all very expensive in terms of cash money. The reason for this is I want to be able to play my spells in the format and still be able to compete. So if I just threw a bunch of basic lands, the problem is the color fixing is not there, and then it's not as competitive as it could be. So I wanted to make these as competitive as I could without making it impossible to replicate. So, in other words, you can still build this deck. You don't need fetch lands, you don't need shock lands. It's just better if I have them to play with so that I can compete on a competitive level. Because, I mean, it wouldn't really be fun if I just had basic lands and you saw the deck kind of fail because I sacrificed it because of the price range. But that's all right. I mean, you can substitute these ones with tap lands that gain you life, or substitute fetch lands with evolving wilds or other cards like that. So you don't need these, but I just thought that's the reason why I'm including them. They don't count towards the 12 rare or mythic slot. However, any other land that's utility that doesn't just tap for mana will be counted towards that. So a good example would be Mirror Pool is a new one. I'll count that towards the total, but these ones will not because all they do is generate land. And then basics, as you can see, I just have 2 mountains and then 5/5 split of swamps and forests. So that is the deck. That's the main deck anyway. I'll jump over to untap.in and give you a quick rundown of what my sideboard is. So being in Modern, there's a couple archetypes that we could run into that would be a problem. One being Tomrod's Crypt. I'm not really sure if you could see this right now. No. So you won't be able to see this because I'm the way my recording software is set up. So the basics of it all is I have. Wait a minute. Let me just. What's going on here? What's going on here? There's a little bit of a problem. Okay, never mind. It's just weird. My recording software, I can't switch over to different windows unless I stop the recording and switch it over. So I'm basically just going to explain to you what these cards are. Tomrod's Crypt is just a 0 mana artifact. It taps, sacrifices itself to exile all cards from target player's graveyard. That's graveyard strategies. That's just a hoser for those. I have 2 1 mana instants that destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's, in case we run up against an crazy deck that doesn't allow you to play unless you destroy some enchantments or artifacts. More artifact removal in case we run up against, like, oh gosh, what is it? Robots? Ancient Grudge is pretty good against that. It's like a Shatter for 2 mana and then a Flashback Nature's Claim, which is what I just said before. I have another copy of Putrefy in case we need more creature removal. I'm going to skip that one for now. I have 3 more copies of Damnation in case we run up against aggro decks. It's good to have more board clearers. And then this is my own little goofy sideboard card. I thought if if Murderous Redcap doesn't want to comply very well in the deck that we're fighting against, I have 4 Tree of Redemptions in my sideboard, which is a 4 mana plant defender. It's a 0/13, and it has an activated ability of tap, exchange your life total with Tree of Redemption's toughness. It's really silly, but with Doomgape being on the battlefield, it's just too good to pass up the opportunity of gaining 13 life in an otherwise aggressive matchup. So Tree of Redemption is kind of my ace in the hole against some fatties that without pump, or just somewhere along the lines of borderline stupid but really good synergy. So I just thought it would be a funny sideboard card to throw in there if we needed it. So that's pretty much the deck, and that is pretty much the situation with this deck. So I will be posting after I upload this video to my YouTube channel, I'll be posting a poll on what you want me to do for next deck, or my next little bit of my next deck, whatever I do for this series. So I'll be posting a poll on that on both my Twitter and Facebook. On my YouTube channel, I'll post a link to both of those. If you haven't already seen them, they'll be in the description below. I hope to post I hope I remember to post a link to MTGgoldfish's channel, which where I got the inspiration to do this from. And thank you all for watching. I really hope you like it, and I will see you all when I start to play the games. Thank you, and goodbye.